Hello, I'm Alan Pruithas from Capstone Partners, and we're thrilled to have with us a very special guest for this segment, the organizer of the entire Things conference here, Lauren Slats. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And luckily you have lots of friends because you brought so many interesting things with you. But before we get to that, let's talk about this conference this year, because this has grown so much over the past few years.
Yeah.
So maybe you could just share with us some of the details about how big has this conference become? How many people, exhibitors, those type of details?
Yeah, sure, we'd love to. So we started off with this whole crazy idea of organizing a conference about, like 3 years ago. So this is the third edition that we are organizing. And we started off with, I think, a small venue somewhere hidden. And it was completely blown up. Like we sold way more tickets than we had spaces. So eventually, I think the first year we had about 600-700 people joining in. Well, then we doubled last year, so we went up to 1,500. And I think, in the past 2 days, I think we've almost seen 2,000 people here at the event.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you can feel the excitement here. There's lots of companies here, from large to small.
Yeah.
Who do you target this conference at? Because I know there's a mix of different types of people and different types of companies here.
Yeah. So. Initially, we really wanted to focus on the people with really the feet on the ground. So you always have these big conferences with inspirational talks about the future of the Internet of Things, but I know that's so far away from really the people that are implementing the technology on a day-to-day basis. And I think this conference shows that we really figured it out how it all works. So the technology is still really young. But I think together with the whole industry, we figured it out how it all should work. So we got the specifications, we got the partners, we got the hardware. And now I think the big challenge that we are facing is that we need the partners who can really tie it all up together and provide it and install these sensors in buildings, in agricultural fields, etc.
Yeah, we've talked to a number of systems integrators this week, and I refer to them as the glue that binds all the different pieces of the puzzle together you need to make a final solution. And speaking of all those pieces, you've brought a number of interesting things. I hope you're not trying to get on a plane with that plant, because it's so large. But why don't you walk us through some of the interesting items you have here on the table?
Yeah. So I just made a quick tour through the event, and I looked for the most exciting projects, and I could have fitted took way more if we're not limited to the space of this table. So let me I just grab a few.
Grab a few.
Here, this is one of the, I think, nicely looking, very well sensors. It's from Laird. It's temperature sensors. It looks really simple, but they really deploy it at a large scale. And they are focused on cold chain solutions. So they throughout the whole supply chain of the food industry, they install these things and making sure they are compliant and the food has the right quality. So one sensor is not that interesting, but if you have 20,000 of these things deployed for one organization, then you can really
one sensor is interesting if it's a sensor keeping you from getting sick because something was too hot during a shipment. So
exactly. Well, we got the same thing, but then focused on on buildings. So we got a smart building sensor from Tectelic. I think it's only a small one, but it got tons of sensors from temperature, infrared, humidity. So basically get a full overview of kind of the environment within buildings.
And this thing's interesting. What's this little box?
This is one of my favorite actually. So this is a tracker, but this is not a normal tracker. This is a rhino tracker. So hence this beautiful.
Are you going to wear that the rest of the show here?
So actually, how it works, at least as far as I know, so they are basically placing these small sensors really on or within this horn. So I think they kind of drill through that horn, but it should all be safe for the animal, and then they place this device on it, and then they use geolocation features to continuously locate the rhino. And the whole idea of this project is that it's a big project. It's from smart parks, and they basically prevent poachers from taking advantage, killing these animals.
That's a great use case. Hopefully you're having the interns doing the rhino horn drilling for safety reasons. So you also have this interesting thing, looks like a belt here.
So this is also same organization, but this is not focused on rhinos, but this is actually a lion tracker. So
a lion tracker.
Like it's a collar they put around the neck of lions and again, continuously monitor their positioning.
That sounds like a fun job as well. And
we got a lot more like animal things. So we also got the smart mouse trap.
Okay.
So it sends you a signal once a mouse has been trapped, which
Excellent.
I think is very interesting now because there's a lot of new legislation in the European Union that you cannot use like pesticides and poison to get rid of, for like pest control. So that gets the demand for these mouse traps even like get it way up. And
well, the common denominator here between the mouse trap and the temperature sensors are that compliance requirements drive IoT volume.
Yeah.
Okay, because you must do it because the government says it's required, and it's less price sensitive, putting on my business hat as a supplier, so they're great areas for solutions to focus on.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, always if you're looking for new IoT solutions, just like go to these compliancy like regulators, and like you can still see that there's still a lot of manual work. I think I once talked to so it's a lot about animals actually. So it's someone from the zoo, and they had to basically like keep track of the temperature within all these stalls for the animals. And you wouldn't believe, but there was like one person with basically like a textbook and a pen, and he would go like on all these different like animal houses, and he would write down the temperature with the exact timings. So I think that also shows, this show that like here everyone knows the technology. I think we are like really far ahead in terms of this innovation around wireless connectivity, but that sometimes is so far away from really the people on the ground that need to implement
and you just
it.
hope that person's actually visiting the pens instead of watching television that day and writing numbers down. And let's wrap up with, we talked a lot about animals, let's talk about plants. So what do you have here?
I think this is one of maybe the most exciting thing I've seen here. So we got a plant and we got a device. And as far as I know, this device doesn't have any battery, but it's fully, this plant is providing the electricity for this device. So that's excited for one thing. Well, because it's, I don't know, like I haven't seen this ever before in my life. And the most interesting thing, so this is not a normal device. This is actually a device with an antenna from Lacuna Space. So what it means, so that plant powers this device to directly send a message to a satellite that is in the air, I think up to 500, 600 kilometers. And that satellite routes it back to a ground station and back to an application so you can look the data up in your phone.
So you're now building a plant-based network is what you're saying.
The Internet of Plants. Yeah, who knows?
Internet of Plants. Well, Lawrence, it sounds like some great things. And I can't imagine if you're doing plants this year, I can't imagine what we're going to see next year. But anyway, thanks for bringing some of these great devices and for a wonderful show.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.